Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Hope you all well. Today we are learning the 10th Perek, famous Perek in Sanhedrin. We'll get to that in a minute. The Today's shiur is Lili Nishmas Aronach and Simchat Kohen Yeshua Morcha Ben Shepsel Recha Shabbat Shmo Recha Shabbat Shmo Lev and B'Yam Moshe Ben Yossi Ben Yisham Slav and Aliyah and Refuah Shlema for Yisrael Recha Leah Recha Bas Bas Zolda Recha Eliana Bas Yav Bracha Ari Yischa Berisha Chai B'Tov Bela Refuah Shlema B'Sav Shachal Yisrael. And as it's safe for bracha v'atzlacha and bracha rachel, with Zivik B'Karo for Shmuel David and Miriam and Svi ben Chana. Okay, Perek 10th Perek starts to talk about Olam Haba, and let's get into it. Okay, the famous line we say this every time, and every week in Olympic, yeah, was all sinners, all the clients, everyone clients, even sinners, even those who are executed by the base, they all have a share in the world to come. As the Pasuk says in Ishaya Perek Samach, Yamech Kolam Sadikim, the Olam Yeshuar, Netzer Matai Masay Dalis Fire. And your people are all righteous. Forever they shall inherit the land, the branch of my plantings, my handiwork, and wish to take pride. The pasuk teaches regarding that all apply as well. Forever they shall inherit the land, which is interpreted by the Mepharshim as referring to Olam Haba, which lasts forever. Yes. But there are these following do not have any share in the world to come. As we just said that everyone has a share, now you have a few exceptions. Homer, ain't the chias mason with Torah. Someone who says that there's no reference to chias mason, to resurrection of the dead from the Torah. If you don't believe in it, it doesn't work for you. If it ain't Torah Shemai, where someone says that the Torah is not from heaven, not Bikuris, and not Bikuris. Not Bikuris is someone who disparages and puts down Torah scholars. And so he's someone who disparages, who puts down the Torah itself, and anyone who like denies any of the basic principles of the Torah. It's also not Bikuris. Rabbi Akiva adds on to the list by saying, anyone who reads external books of heresy, such as the works of Aristotle, according to the Bartanura, where they deny God's creation of the world and other principles of faith, those people have no share in the world to come. Or one who whispers over a wound in order to heal it and says, all the diseases that I have placed upon Egypt, I shall not place upon you, because I am Hashem, your healer. So what's the problem with that? So the Rambam explains that this guy, he had a wound and he spit on the wound, and then he quoted the psukim that mention Hashem's name as being the healer. Since he has no regard for the name of Hashem, but saying it while using spit, that's disgraceful. Therefore, he has no share in the and Hashem be Os Yosef. Anyone who pronounces the four-letter name of Hashem with its letters Yud Kei Vav Kei, we do not say it as it's. We do not pronounce it as it's written. Rather, we say is what we're covered with. We say Aleph Dal Nun Yud, which is a it's to show honor, it's a reverence to the Shem Hashem. That's why that's why when you talk about the Shem Hashem, we say get Kev. We don't spell the word out the way it's written. So you do that. If a guy does that, he says it as it's written, then he has no share in Olam Haba. Not recommended. Mishnah Beis, Shlosh Malach Rabba Idiotos Ein Lahem Chelik Olam Haba. There are three kings and four commoners who have no share in the world to come. Among many other people who also have no share, but the Mishnah is singling out these individuals because they had great knowledge of Torah and they still had no share. So who are they? Shloshim Malachim, Yeravam, Achav, Manasseh. The three kings are Yeravam ben Nevat, Achav, and King Manasseh. They were all very, very bad kings. Rehoboam was the first king after Shlomo. After Shlomo was Nifter, Rehoboam was the son of Shlomo. Rehoboam was appointed by Hashem to be the king of, and he led the nation onto a path of Zara by setting up two different golden calves, one in the north, one in the south, and prevented Klai from going to Yerushalayim for Bali the Regel. Achav was another king of Malach Yisrael, and he added on to more idols. In addition to what Yerucham added on, and he added on more. And Manasseh, who was actually the son of the righteous king Chizkiyahu Melech, he was also a evil monarch, and he built the more mizbechos for Zara in addition to the ones of Achav and Yerovam, and he killed many people, and he was barred from entering into Olam Haba. Rabbi Yehuda says, Manasseh yesh lo chelik Olam Haba. Manasseh does have a share in the world to come. Shneimar, as it says in Divrei Yamim, Yispalo Elav Ayaseh Elav Yishma Techinaso V'Yishivei Yerushalayim V'Malchuso. He, Manasseh, prayed to him, and he was entreated by him and heard his plea, and he returned him to Yerushalayim, to his kingdom. Since Manasseh did tshuva of all his crimes, and as he accepted his tshuva, he regained his share in the Olam Haba. Amrullah, the Chacham said to Yehuda, the Machuso Heshiva. In this passage, we learned that the Hashem returned him only to his kingdom. But we did not return to the life of the world to come. According to the Chachamim, it was not sufficient. His truth was not sufficient for him to earn a share in Olam Haba. So now, who are the four commoners? Arba Jotos, Bolem, Doeg, Achitofel, the Gechazi. The four commoners are Bolem and Doeg and Achitofel and Gechazi. The Bolem was a non-Jewish Navi who was hired by Bolek, as we know, to curse Klal Yisrael in the Midbar. And obviously Hashem did not let him curse anybody. But then after failing that attempt a few times, Bilam suggested to Balak that the Moavi women be sent out to the Jewish camp to cause the men to sin. Therefore, he was disbarred from Olam Haba. And Doeg. Doeg was one of the advisors of Shalom Melech, and he was responsible for killing out Nov Kohanim and therefore he has no share in Olam Haba. Either Achitofel was an advisor to David HaMelech, and he sided with Avshalom and rebelled against David, and he advised Avshalom to have bia with David's um, election, and it was a bad guy. And Gechazi was the attendant of Elisha and Navi, and he did a couple of bad affairs, um, such that and that was also a big problem. So he lost his share. Mishnah Gimel. Here we go. Dor Hamabel, Ein Lahem Chelik Olam Haba. The people of the generation of the flood, they have no share in the world to come. And anyone who was wiped out before the Mabul, before Noach, they have no share in the world to come because they were horrible people. That's why the world was destroyed. They ain't on them and they will not stand in the final judgment. Shenema lo yodon ruchi ba'adam. The Pasuk says over there by Noach that my spirit shall not contend evermore concerning men. Lo din, lo ruach, which teaches that there will be neither judgment nor spirit, that they will not be summoned to the final judgment at the end of the days, nor will the spirits live on in Olam Haba. The people of the generation of the dispersal, which was right after the Dor Mabul, this is the generation of the Migdal Bavel. They have no share in Olam Haba. Shemar, the Yafet Hashem, Olam Sham, up in the Pasuk says over there, Hashem dispersed it from there over the face of the whole earth, and from there he scattered them. So the repetition in the pasuk of dispersed and scattered implies that they were punished two ways. Even Hashem of Samuel, but that they dispersed them, that Hashem dispersed them in this world. Misham feet on Hashem, Olam Haba, and from there Hashem scattered them first to Olam Haba. The people of Stone had no share in the world to come. And the pasuk says over there, the people of Stone were extremely wicked and sinful toward Hashem. So it's interpreted to say that they're wicked in regard to this world and sinful in regard to Olam Haba, and but they will stand for the final judgment in the end of the days. So even though according to the Yad Rama, that even though the people of stone were punished in this world, their sins require judgment and punishment in the next world as well. They are unlike the Dor Hamabul, who will not receive any more punishment than the flood itself. Okay, when Nehemiah says Elu ain't ondim bedin, he says that neither the people of Dor Mabul or the people of Sodom, neither of them will stand in the final judgment. Neymar, as the pasuk says in Tehillim, in the first capital, Al King La Yikim Hashem Mishpat V'Chatan B'Ada Sadikim. Therefore, the wicked shall not stand up in judgment, or the sinful in the congregation of the righteous. Al King La Yikim Hashem Mishpat said Dor Mabul. The first phrase, the first part of the pasuk, that therefore the wicked shall not stand up in judgment, refers to the generation of the flood, the Dor HaMabul. The Chatan B'Ada Sadikim El Anshe Sodom, and the second part, nor the sinful in the congregation of the righteous, refers to the Anshe Sodom. And not only will the Dor HaMabul be spared the final judgment, but so will the people of Sodom. Amalah of the Chavis responded to Nehemiah, Ein an Omdim B'Ada Sadikim. The pasuk implies that the people of Sodom will not stand for judgment in the congregation of the righteous. I will own them by the Shushan. They will stand for judgment in the congregation of the wicked. That when they will be judged, they will be included not among the tzaddikim, but among the sinners. Okay, in the aftermath of Tisha B'Av, we come to this part. The Raglim ein lehem chelek Olam Haba. The spies who Moshe sent to explore the Eretz Canaan, they have no share in the world to come. Shenem ve'yamusu ha'anashim motzi dibas haaretz Rabbi Akiva livnei Hashem. The pasuk says in Parshat Shlach that they died, the men who brought out an evil report about the land in a plague before Hashem. The words that they died mean that they died in this world, and the world and the words in a play teach that they lost their share in Olam Haba. We know that the effect of Tisha B'Av really goes through until Tu B'Av, so we're in those few days between Tisha B'Av and Tu B'Av, so the fact that we'll learn this now is a kiss from Hashem. The people of the generation of the desert, those 40 years in the desert, that first generation, they have no share in Olam Haba. They will not stand for the final judgments. And as it says in the pasuk over there, that in the midbar they shall be consumed, and there they shall die. The repetition indicates that they will lose both worlds. This is according to Akiva. Rabbi says that they will receive a share in the world to come. Aleiham Omer Isfuli Chasidai Parsi Bisi Alaizeva. Because it says in the pasuk in Tehillim that gather to me my devout ones, those who seal the covenant with me by sacrifice. Adas Korach Eino Asida La'alos. The congregation of Korach is not destined to come up, Batchias Mesim, and they will not receive a share in Olam Haba. The pasuk says in Parshas Korach that the earth covered them, that they died in this world. And it continues that they were lost from among the assembly, which teaches that they have no share in Olam Haba. This is the quote of Akiva. Eliezer says that they will receive a share in Olam Haba. Aleim hu Omer Hashem Memis Mechai Morid Shaul Ayal. As it says in the pasuk in Shmuel, that Hashem kills and brings the life, lowers into the pit, lifts up. They will be lifted from the pit to live in Olam Haba. Going on. The 10 tribes are not destined to return to Israel from their places in Golas. As the pasuk says in its 7, Hashem uprooted them from upon their soil with anger, with rage, with great fury, and he cast them into another land as this very day. Just as this day goes away, never to return. So do they, the 10 tribes, go away, never to return. This is according to Akiva. Eliezer says that the pasuk says, as this very day implies the opposite. Just as the day darkens and then becomes light. So too the 10 tribes for whom it became dark when they were exiled are destined to have light, and they will be brought back from Gullus. Okay. Now we're going to go back to we talked briefly yesterday about it, Erni Dachas. So in Erni Dachas, we're going to go back to that for a little bit. So Ir Nidachas is a town in Eretz Yisrael that was corrupted by some of its residents who successfully persuaded the others to worship idols. Um, so a singular idol worshiper had Mises based in by Skila, but the corrupted town, Ir Nidachas, is all the inhabitants are executed by beheading. Um, these are all from the psukim in Devarim, Perek Gimel. I think that's Shoftim, maybe Re'eh, I remember. Um, so let's get into this. Mishnah Dalet. An she'er nidachas eilhem chelik olam haba. The inhabitants of a corrupted town have no share in the world to come. Shenamar, as it says in the pasuk, Yatsu anashim b'nei Blial, v'kirbecha v'yidichu es yoshvei Iram. That the lawless men have emerged from your midst and corrupted the inhabitants of their town. The word Blial, lawless, can be read as Blial. Those who will not rise, they will not get up at the Chis Mason, which is followed by Olam Haba. The Eina Neharagim, they are not beheaded as members of a corrupted town. Ad Shiyu Unless they who corrupted the town are from that town, and they also receive it, they are from that tribe. Ruba, and most of the town was corrupted. Anashim, and men corrupted it. However, if any of these conditions are not met, mean that women or children corrupted it, or if only a minority of the town was corrupted, or those who corrupted it were from outside the town or from a different tribe, the idol worshippers are treated as individuals whose punishment is skila, and not as a member of an Ir Nidachas. And they need two witnesses, and a warning are needed for each and every person. Yeah. The following is a chumrah that applies only to individuals who worship idols rather than to the entire town. So yechidim b'skila lefichach memonam palet. Namely, that individuals are put to death by stoning, which is a harm of execution. Therefore, their property is spared. Since they received a harsh punishment, they're treated leniently in regards to their property not being destroyed and can be passed on to their heirs. But the masses, the idol worship of an entire town, are put to death by the sword, which is the lighter form of execution. Therefore, their property is destroyed. Since the manner of their execution is lighter, they are treated strictly in that their property is obliterated. The Pasuk says, "You shall strike the inhabitants of the town by the sword." And the words inhabitants of the town include people who inhabit it even for a short time, which is a minimum of 30 days. Hachameres, v'hagameles, v'ha'averes, welcome. Therefore, if a donkey caravan or a camel caravan is going from place to place and stays in the town for at least 30 days, members of the caravan are counted together with the townspeople. And as a result, if they did not worship idols, these travelers can save the town. By being counted together with the townspeople, they can raise the proportion of innocent people in the town to half or more of the total population. They would therefore save the town, because the law of an Ir Nidachas does not apply unless most of its residents are guilty. Hachrim osav eskol Shabbat. destroy it and everything that's in it, and you shall gather all its loot to within a square. Mikan Amru, based on this, the Chacham say Nechse Tzadikim Shebesocha of the property of the innocent people who did not worship idols, that is in the town, is destroyed. And all the property has to be destroyed. Shebechutzalah Paltin, and the property that's outside the town is spared. The Shawashayim Ben Shebesocha Ben Shebechutzalah Hare Elu Ovdin. The property of the guilty, which whether it is in the town or outside the town, is destroyed. Everything that is in it teaches that all the property found inside the town must be destroyed, even if it belongs to an innocent person. And the words "you shall gather all its loot" teach that the property of the guilty must be destroyed, even if it's outside the town. And now for the lesson for today, Mr. Vav. Shnei the pasuk says, "V'eskos lalad tikbos el toch Rehoboam, and you shall gather all its loot to within its square. Im ein la Rehoboam." This teaches that if the town has no town square, osin la Rehoboam, then you must make a square for it. And if the square is outside it, constant osa the socha, they must bring the square inside it. The Surata be'esh as an ear as cost you shall completely burn and fire the town and all its loot to Hashem, your God. This implies the loot of the town must be burned, but not the loot of Shemayim. Based on this, I'm going to say that any consecrated objects in the town should be redeemed as usual and not burned, because they are the property of Shemayim. The Terumas Yirkivu, portions of Truma that are in the town should be left to rot, because they are too sacred to be burned. Ma'aseh Sheni Kisvei Kodesh Yignazu, Ma'aseh Sheni and other Kisvei Kodesh sacred writings should be hidden away, because they are also too kodesh to be burned. Kalila Hashem L'Alkecha, you shall completely burn and fire the town and all of its loot to Hashem, your God. Amar Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon said, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Kadosh Baruch Hu said, Imatim Osim Din Be'eridah, if you carry out judgment against the echo of the town, Mala an Yalechem Kilu Ata Malin Ola Kalil Lefanai. I will consider you as though you are offering up an Ola which is completely burned before me. I shall tell Olam Losiban Od, and it shall remain an eternal heap. It shall not be burnt again. Lo Sas Fila Ganos Pardesim. We learn from here that it may not even be made into gardens and orchards. Rabbi Yosef Glili, this is according to Rabbi Yosef Glili. Rabbi Yakiva Omer, Rabbi Yakiva says, Lo Siban Od, that it shall not be built again. Chemosh Haisa Eina Nivnis, implying that it may not be built to what it was before, meaning the settlement of the houses. Manasseh, he Ganos Upardesim, but it may be made into gardens and orchards. And the next pasuk says, "Lo yidbach b'yadchem b'uma v'nacher." No part of the forbidden property may stick to your hand, so Hashem will turn back from His burning anger. She calls Manasseh Rishon ba'olam. This teaches that as long as wicked people who take the property of a corrupted town for themselves are in the world, Charon Apa Olam, God's anger is in the world. Of the Rishon Olam, and when these wicked people perish in the world, the Stalik Charon Af Min Olam, God's anger is removed from the world. That is all for today. Tomorrow we will finish up with Sanhedrin, and we'll start Makos on Wednesday. Have a wonderful day.